Ladies and gentlemen, it is showtime. As Beetlejuice will say, it is pixels and plastic and ink, and it's Friday night, 7 p.m. Pacific time. We are live with the PPI crew, and tonight we are going to talk about all things pop culture, from Denzel in the Black Panther movie. What will he play, to various rumors of variants, to all the films that are coming out centered around the comic book universe? Some interesting toy news, to say the least. And also, the Penguin finally concludes an amazing series. We're talking about all the things that are top of mind for us. And for some of you, you're probably thinking, well, I got to watch this Paul and Tyson fight on Netflix. Well, stay tuned, folks, because they're not in the ring until 8:30 Pacific time. So you could watch us, and then immediately following that, you get to watch Tyson and Paul. No ad, no promo, because we're interested too. Gentlemen, this is Pixels, Plastic, and Ink. Well, again, I can't tell if it's a bong or sipping some type of, I don't know.
Sipping on gin and juice.
Chet, how are you this evening, sir?
Well, sir, I'm happy that you asked that question.
It was a bong.
It was a bong. It was a bong. I'm happy you asked that question. I'm doing good, and we got all the technical things fixed and out of the way from Wednesday. I'm excited about this cast, and but I'm doing well, Mr. Brentley. How are you?
I'm fine. I don't care about the fight, so I'm doing just quite.
So you're just gonna keep streaming this until like 9, then?
That's correct.
I got you. I'm on here with you,
Mr. Storm. How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right, man. How's everybody else doing tonight?
Oh, we are doing excellent. Before we go any further, please subscribe, like, drop a comment. A big historic week in the Shadowed Nose Network history, as we have finally reached 2,000 subscribers, and it's all because of you who are listening or watching live, or you might be watching us on tape delay, or whatever you're watching. We love it. Spread the word, get the word out there. We appreciate it. It's been an incredible ride, gentlemen. As you look back a year plus at this point, 2,000 subscribers, new content, new channels, Toybox Chronicles, the retrospect vault, a variety of other things. Man, I can't believe we're here.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it all started from a little boy's dream. This is where this is where we find out that we all just live inside a snow globe. Is that where this happens?
Yeah.
But there's at least 2,000 people there with us, so
yes, it's a very big snow globe. It's 2,000 people snow globe.
Yeah, I was reflecting on that earlier in the week and thinking about how we started and all the things especially when we started moving to live streams, and it's incredibly humbling to know that 2,000 people, and then we're still growing because it's 2,000 plus now. But it's always humbling to know that people dig what you do, and that's the thing that pushes forward. So if it's not for them, the viewers that's tuning into us, none of this is going on. So it's a major thing. And also, the other milestone we hit was 1.7 million views total about 2 hours ago. So
1.7. What a
that's a
huge
lot.
number. 1.7. There are TV series that don't get that. So that's pretty amazing. And there are films that don't make that kind of money. Some that will be in the box office graveyard, year-end awards. And folks, stay tuned over the next couple of weeks because as we inch closer to the holidays and New Year's, if you didn't follow us previously, it is our infamous box office graveyard awards where we nominate the worst films and worst TV and other things. You will not want to miss that. So stay tuned for that. So tonight it's about all things pop culture, as I said in the beginning of the show. And I think the first thing that jumped out that we wanted to talk about was, what would be the future of the Black Panther franchise? Unfortunately, the sequel did not live up to the first one's popularity, although did make a lot of money. We know, unfortunately, the passing of the Black Panther himself, and so what they were going to do with the film. Well, it turns out that the one of the most famous actors and Oscar award winner and multi-nominated Denzel Washington is going to be in Black Panther Part 3. We don't have any background or information into this, but it looks like Ryan Coogler, who's responsible for the next installment, is writing Denzel into it. So I guess we'll start there. Is where do you see Denzel plugging into this? There had been talks about Denzel, if this was written 25, 30 years ago, he could have been the Black Panther. I think there's a lot of excitement and buzz, but what say you all around Denzel and Black Panther 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Go ahead, Chet.
no, all you.
I am actually, I know that they've tried to get him for Blade years ago, and he didn't want to do it. And I could see where they had it in. I think just in all situations, the fear is that Ryan Coogler still directed the second movie, and he also was one of the spearhead people that was in every possible way in the midst of writing out instead of just having replacing Chadwick Boseman. He thought that second movie was, and I think that they really screwed Namor up. I had waited the same way for Black Panther to see Namor, and they screwed it up. So I think a changing of the guard probably was the best. I think they need to have fresher ideas other than Ryan Coogler going down the direction because it's one film. I give it to you; it was a great film. Second film was just completely terrible. So with Denzel, I know he's not going to be a Black Panther or anything. I'm sure it's going to be like some great story, maybe some villain or something. I don't know because I know Denzel said he's only taking roles now that he feels like he wants to do. So obviously, I think this is going to be like not the hero journey for him. I think he's going to play a villain because Denzel can pretty much do what he wants to do. But I'm just concerned because I just really thought that in every possible way that Black Panther 2 was just to put it mildly, a shit show. And I'm worried that, the same people involved are going to be in the midst of this as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I could see him being definitely a villain in it, and you build him up as something big. But another thing I thought of is you could have him like as an alternate Black Panther or the Chadwick Boseman Black Panther from like the future coming back like somehow. There are other things you can do with it, but he doesn't lightly go into movies. Even Gladiator 2, when you hear about it, it sounds like Gladiator 2, but from everything I'm hearing, he's fantastic and the movie is really good. So hopefully his track record remains intact.
I'm thinking about it's so difficult to replace Chadwick Boseman. We talk about like who can replace RDJ or Chris Evans, but when someone passes away after doing the role so well, it's very hard, right? He was so likable, iconic performance the first time we saw it on the big screen. And so it's like, how do you bring it back? It's so difficult. And perhaps the way you do it, to your point, Dr. Brantley, is maybe Denzel is Black Panther, a variant of such, or the future. I think that is such a great way to bring back the character, is to have what I think everyone would feel is bringing credibility back to the role. Because I would feel bad for any young actor to come and try to do Black Panther, because they'll have to live up to Boseman and what transpired. So I would be excited if he's a villain. Great. If he's something involved, all the merrier. It'll help the box office. To Mr. Storm's point, I worry a little bit about the script, considering the second one wasn't really dialed in. But I'm saying I would love to see him don the Black Panther costume, and I think that would be amazing. But I don't know if they probably would have unveiled it now. Right. I feel like that would be such a big thing. Do you think they'd hide it from us? Like,
yes,
you think
because
so?
well,
why would they even tease it though? Why would they say Denzel and Black Panther? Like,
because
keep it like RDJ. Keep it secret until boom.
But
the next Black Panther.
You have
Denzel.
news now, and you're gonna have news later when they reveal who he's playing, or that if they say, oh, he's gonna be a hero or a villain. Then you've got news later when you find out who it actually is, and build up the speculation of it. So, they can keep this running for another year.
Well, here's why I don't think that he's going to be the Black Panther. First of all, like I said, his acting style, Denzel is very boisterous, very out there. The Black Panther, while Chadwick Boseman did a great job, it was really Michael B. Jordan, Killmonger, that pushed it over. The villains usually... that's the reason why we're seeing Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Doom. You need someone like Josh Brolin or somebody to really kind of give an emphasis to a villain. And look, Namor was so underwhelming that you have to have a great villain show up. And, the one aspect, and I've been a Black Panther fan all my life, there are not a lot of great villains. They like to think they are, but he does not have a very good rogue gallery. So it's going to have to be something where you need an actor to pull a mediocre rogue gallery character and really breathe life into it.
So who is he then? What villain would he play?
Again, he doesn't
I'm trying
have
to think of
there's not a large Black Panther villain. So it's probably going to be a mediocre character that Denzel's going to take and run with it. And then that character will be kind of like Killmonger is big in the comics, but no one outside really the comic book knew who the character was. But now you ask anyone, and due to Michael B. Jordan's performance, now that character is a predominant character. So I've got a feeling it's going to be some minor Black Panther villain that pushes it to the next level that Denzel takes.
Yeah. I don't. It's hard to say, but I'm excited. I'm excited for him to be part of the MCU.
I think for me, who I think, and I've been thinking about this because they while they got into a lot in the first one and they kind of built that story. I think if you go back and look at the comics, I think it was I think his name is Chabib. I think Achebe. He's the one that sold his soul to Mephisto. Do you remember that guy? Mm-hmm. So I think there's a high probability that he will end up being that person.
Maybe
because it's someone that I just think that it's somebody that a lot of people don't know. Denzel Washington kind of fits the statute of that character in the comics actually pretty well. So I don't know. We'll see.
It could be. And maybe that's the reason why you put Denzel in, is because you're going to introduce a new Black Panther, and you got to have maybe someone that's not a big name. So that'd be interesting. I mean, you might be right, Chet, because I mean, Christian Bale came in as Gore, not a bit. I mean, in the comics, yeah, but like nobody knew who the hell he was if you didn't Marvel lore. Very more comic driven character. So we'll see. And speaking of variants, right? We know we've talked about it in previous episodes when it comes to Secret War, and we know that RDJ is going to play some level of variance. This topic of variance is very popular. We've seen them in previous Marvel series and like the new films. Is there anybody in when we talk about the MCU that you would really want an actor to play a variant, right? Like the rumor has always been, can they finally get Tom Cruise to play Iron Man? And if they pulled that off, if you flipped RDJ to Doctor Doom variant, and then you put Tom Cruise as Iron Man, I mean, the shit would make $5 billion. Yeah, I mean, it would just be off the charts. But is there anybody else that you're thinking of that, like, man, I would love to see this particular actor play a variant of the character? I'll say Hugh Jackman as, I mean, not Hugh Jackman, but Henry Cavill as Wolverine. Teased it. Give us a full-fledged movie. Would be great. That would be my choice. But what about you guys?
I would love to see Keanu Reeves as Johnny Blaze or Danny Ketch as a Ghost Rider.
Yes, sir. Danny Ketch. I think Danny Ketch, man.
Well, the good news about Ghost Rider is there's a high probability Nick Cage is going to come in as Ghost Rider, which is great. Yeah. That's just as good as Danny Ketch.
No.
I agree. I agree.
You don't think so? Like,
no, Johnny Blaze, Danny Ketch, do two Ghost Riders. Yeah. That would be amazing.
I don't know how you could think that's not a great role.
Oh man, I love Denzel's T'Challa. Oh yeah, possibly
that might work. Yeah, that might work.
I love.
But there was an interesting thing because he said, "What year era does it take place?" Because they could do something where it's like, yeah, this is the 1940s Black Panther, and this takes place during World War II or something. They could do something completely crazy like that, where you wouldn't have to tie it into any other Marvel stuff. It would just be its own thing as a third final send-off.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
I read that Oscar Isaacson, who's played Moon Knight.
Yes.
That there isn't any talks of him playing, like Moon Knight's going to not transition into like the Secret War. He's not in the story, but there was a rumor that he voiced Spider-Man 2099 in the animated feature films, and that he would come and play 20 as a live action. And I guess the thing is, like, are all these actors taking on too many? Are we seeing too much of that? Like, you're six different, and you're DC, you're Marvel, you're this, or is it fun? It's like, holy shit, you're playing 5 versions. I mean, Ryan Reynolds did it. So, what do you think about that?
There's enough actors out there that they can each be their own separate thing. It's like you don't need to be 5 people in the Marvel universe.
Yeah, I agree with Dr. Brentley on this one. I'm thinking, especially because there's so many actors that just don't even get a shot at, like, getting into any of these movies. And there's a lot of talented actors out there. And I think when you run the wellspring of just using the same people over and over again, it's kind of like, you're going to start seeing the same exact thing over at DC, because we know James Gunn's casting records. If you're a family friend or his barber, you're going to get into a DC film. So you're going to see the same thing. His wife, his cousin, his nail stylist, they're all going to be in DC films. And I think that there's so many great actors. Again, Keanu Reeves, like we were saying, like this guy, how is he not in a DC universe film, or how he's not in a Marvel film? I know Norm Raddist even said at one point that he wanted to be Ghost Rider. I think he would work as it. There's so many great actors that we're seeing, especially now Like, I'm trying to think. Jack Reacher's act, like that guy's not any character in the MCU or the DCU. It's like there's too many great actors out here putting in phenomenal work and everything. Even that last season of season 3 of or I think this season, or maybe it's season 2 of Jack Reacher. They had Robert Patrick. That guy's not a villain anywhere. There's no character that. There's so many good actors that I think are just being shined over and not getting an opportunity to get in there because, again, you've got, look, Ryan Reynolds has played what, 3, maybe 4 superheroes, I'm saying, down the line. They've got to do more and have like more diversity, more situational actors put into it.
But Robert Patrick is Peacemaker's dad.
That is true.
Like I said again,
and that's
give him
coming
a role
back.
he can
That
really do
series
well.
is good.
Yeah.
HBO based series actually are pretty well. Like DC and HBO is that's shaping up to be a pretty good mix. They know what they're doing.
DC can do television. Marvel can do movies. At least they used to be able to. And hopefully they can get the movie side working for DC. But Penguin, probably the best TV show I've seen in years.
Yes.
Yeah, easily.
Absolutely.
And let's jump into that. And folks, we're going to talk about it. The last episode happened this past Sunday for the Penguin, so we don't want to spoil. So the next few minutes, we are going to talk about Penguin and talk about the finale. So you may want to shut the stream down and come back in just a few minutes, or if you're not watching live, forward a couple of minutes. But what a masterclass in writing and character development. I was watching it, the last episode, with my wife, and the final scene, again, spoiler alert, the bat signal. And I basically told her, I said, this is what the Pixels, Plastic, and Ink crew had been talking about, which is take a series over 6 to 8 episodes and develop a strong villain that now can be plugged into a movie that features a well-known superhero. So now there's care and there's knowledge about the Penguin. And I know he was in the first in recent Batman, but not to this extent. Now you know Oz and the Dark Knight. And we've said that for so long. Is this the new formula? Could this be? And then also I want to get your thoughts on Penguin, the finale, and just the overall series.
So good.
I will definitely agree.
Yeah. There was just so many moments where you go back and forth between, I think if Batman comes on Penguin, I'm going to be rooting for the Penguin. And then you get to certain points, you're like, oh, this piece of shit. I can't believe he did these things. And that's so great. And, they did give you all these things that, he's 2 steps ahead of you. Always. And he is, because like an episode before, he set up all the things that were going to take down the guys coming after him. Brilliant stuff. And also the mother, she is going to get nominated for like best supporting actress, I think, just because she was amazing. Deirdre O'Connell is her name. She was doing stuff where she, is out of her mind and doesn't quite know where she is. And then when she dials in, when she was talking with Sophia in that whole scene at her place, that gave me chills. It was just like, she can turn and be hard as nails and all right there, and make you feel bad about yourself. Everyone is great in this, but her, Kristen Milioti, and Colin Farrell all deserve to get nominated.
They better.
We're gonna throw Meeks has hit the channel with $2. Thank you, sir. Haven't watched the Penguin yet, but heard it's awesome and everything. So thank you, sir. Appreciate the donation.
Yeah, we do have a goal. If we get 10 super chats, I'll host a live Q&A for everybody. But we'll see. Meeks is rolling it in.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it, brother. Yeah, I think the same thing. I think that look, you have 8 episodes with anything. When you have 2 hours to tell a story, you really gotta be cream of the crop as a writer. You can't have loose ends. You've got just that amount of time to tell the story. When you have 8 episodes, which is like 45 minutes to an hour, depending on what service you're on, you have the opportunity to flesh out a character, give a backstory, go dive way deep into his past, have the events around him be interesting. Also, focus on other characters involved and build their stories up equally. You've got the time to do it right. And I think that certain complicated characters, like this gave me appreciation for the Penguin that I didn't even have through the comics or even the Tim Burton film as itself. Really, he just jumped forward because normally it's like either I say there's probably like the Joker and maybe Mr. Freeze is probably the 2 well-known backstories and you can feel with the character, but very rarely has the Penguin. They lost the oddity of him being a joke with just trick umbrellas and things like that. This was like a serious guy, a gangster, a low-level story, him moving up into the ranks, and then also having a master plan to outsmart the people at the top of the ranks as well. Every episode, and I was Dr. Brittley and I talked about this. Every episode went like this, and it just kept ratcheting up and more. And by the end of the episode, you were like, "How the hell is he going to get out of this?" And then somehow he did, and then they would just turn the wrench up the next episode. I have rarely seen writing done as well as that, other than I will say Breaking Bad. When like Walter White, you're like, how in the hell are he getting out of this situation? And they ramped in somehow he would find a way or something shocking would happen. And you did not expect it by the end of the episode. That's when you've mastered the art of writing in the best of ways. And that's exactly what they did in The Penguin. I think Peacemaker, I wasn't a fan of Peacemaker. I watched it. I just don't like the goofiest, like, James Gunn versions of characters. I wasn't a great fan of the Guardian of the Galaxy stuff that he did. I could see there's some merit in it. I just don't get into that whole version of it. But if you're going to take on other characters, I think that's the best way to do it. Flesh them out, especially now. I'm worried about Marvel's Wonder Man because they're at usual. They just totally threw out the window, and this is not the character that we've seen in the comics. In extent, they've just kind of remastered them in. So I'm worried about that. But and I watched some of the Agatha All Along. I thought it was okay. This is just a minor character that I didn't care about when it was in WandaVerse, and now we've got like 8 episodes of that character as well. So I think you picked the right character. I think if you do the Rogue Gallery, and at Matt Reeves, I think he has an opportunity to extend this Rogue Gallery extremely well and tell individual stories. I think if he does that, we're going to get the best out of these characters other than seeing them on the small screen for minor minutes,
Yeah. I would argue Colin Farrell's performance is top 3 of all time for villains in a comic book, film, or TV series. Like, I think his performance was incredible, and to do that in a suit with makeup and to not have any inclination that was Colin Farrell. If no one told you that was him, you would never know. Like, the acting dynamics, I think it was spectacular. And I think the last thing for me was, as you said, Dr. Brantley, the ups and downs of the character. You like him, you don't like him, you don't like him. It was like you liked him, you cheered, and at the very end, it was like, just before we go any further,
remember who he is.
Remember who he is. And my wife was like, "Oh my God!" I was like, "Yeah, he's the Penguin. Like, he's not like, he's a piece of crap. Like, he killed his brothers. Like, come on, let's go." So, I'm super stoked for that. In other comic book news, it looks like Blade, the movie, is dead again.
Yeah,
And
for the next few months before they bring it back.
like, what is happening with Blade? Can we just get Wesley Snipes? What's the word there? I mean, the video game looks pretty rad. I mean, there's been little footage, but what we've seen so far looks really great. Wesley's back in the movie. What the hell are we talking about here? Like, he could do it. He would do it. Let's go.
Well, they just had this Blood Hunt miniseries. They can adapt that with the older Blade, and you don't have to do the whole thing. You just take that story and get a couple of the big Marvel people to come in and do a little cameo.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I think I feel like right now they're not doing it solely based on someone's fucking ego, because somebody had this grandiose idea to bring Blade back and then wasn't thinking about Wesley Snipes. Then Deadpool happened and everyone was like, oh, it's Wesley Snipes. And so now it's like, well, if we were to end up doing a Blade movie, I'd have to eat crow because I had a different idea. And this is like, I honestly feel like that's where it's at, because it's like, it seems like every like 3 months, it's like, Blade's not happening. Blade's happening. Blade's not happening. Blade's happening. So I think it's going to end up happening. And I think it's going to end up happening when they realize they need it, because everything else sucks.
It's one of the most popular characters. I don't know what's happening there. What's taking so long?
He can obviously do it. He was one of the best parts in a movie with great parts from beginning to end.
Yeah, and you know he's going to want to do it, because it's like you just said, right? Like,
there's only one Blade.
There's only one Blade, and he showed up, and that's one of the biggest things that people talked about was like, did you see Wesley Snipes?
Yeah, and I think that excitement is the reason why. And this is the Kevin Feige humorous of having ego. I think when he was in the early stages of his Marvel work and he was hitting success that people did not think in any way, shape, or form that he would have, he was taking risk. And he was bringing in Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man when people were like, they saw Robert Downey's past and said, hey, wait a minute. Why aren't you rolling with one of heavyweight Hollywood heavyweights instead of some guy that basically was on the tail end of a career they thought was not going anywhere? He brought in, so many great directors and receivers, and now he's got the 15 films, $1 billion success, and in every part now, that thinking has left the window. Sometimes you can stay in a role too long at the top. You need fresh, innovative individuals. Ryan Reynolds came in with his team and said, let's get Wesley Snipes back. They did something so obvious that now it looks like buffoonish that the people at Marvel hadn't thought of it, because they really didn't even want Deadpool Wolverine. And this was something that they had to pitch and pull and get that. And it's everybody that I know, when they said the title, everyone's like, my God, why did it take him so long? Why did it take him so long to put him in the actual classic red and blue uniform? These are aspects that it's very easy. I think that Wesley Snipes, if you were smart, you pivot right now because you see what's hot. You see what fans want. And this is the problem with Hollywood in a major, major way. Fans tell you what they want. It's very easy. They want Predator to go back to classic formats. Don't have them going down Central Park and everything and stupid shit. They just want to see him in the jungle going after something primal. You don't have to actually overthink the plot of having that character show up. They just showed you Wesley Snipes. People still have a fever to see this guy do the role. You can do Old Blade, and then you can introduce his daughter. You could do all these scenarios, and yet they're, basically, like I would say, like Blade said, they're ice skating up a hill. They're just doing everything but they can, and they're trying to cram 5 years now, Monsieur Ali, but right after the pandemic, they introduced this guy a year before the pandemic. And all of a sudden, they ain't even rolled day one, and they've gone through 5 scripts, multiple directors, instead of just saying, look, we see the format. How's Ryan Reynolds going to get Blade to the screen quicker than the entire arm of Marvel getting Blade to the screen. This is the problem, is that I think that Kevin Feige sat in that role too long. He was
Yeah.
young and ambitious when Avid Avi was running it and he took over. I think you really got to get to someone else taking over and saying, like, why aren't we doing a Blade movie? Because this one, it just seems like it's the most common sense thing, but we've seen in this industry, common sense does not drive box office sales for these people, and they're going to keep doing the same thing. I don't think we're ever going to see Mashar Ali get to screen, and if he, by the time he does, it's probably going to be something that's going to be terrible. And I just think that when you're fighting something so hard to make, it's never going to turn out good.
Mm-hmm. Speaking
That
of Predator,
Oh yeah.
The Predator Badlands, I think I read that it's the first time that he's going to be, the Predator is a hero in the film, which is quite interesting. So I don't know what that all entails, but I think one of the articles I read is like, I don't know if it's Dakota Fanning or one of the Fannings is in it, and he's like on an alien planet, and he might have to protect these, like the girl or whatever, and I don't know. So could be interesting.
In Prey, he killed those French fur trappers. That makes him a hero in my book.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, they're gonna go ahead, Chet.
No, I'm just saying we'll see what happens, because I think I don't know.
I know the same thought. I was like, this sounds like such a piece of shit that they're about to do right now. I'm sorry. It's just in every possible way. It's like, look, it's simple. You don't have to just go against the grain and everything. You just make it simple. Yet they made what? Look, I thought the second Predator movie, it was an interesting concept. It wouldn't have been something that I would have written, but I thought it was interesting. It has its own lore in the film. But then they did, like, they've had several others they've done after that. I thought the one that Robert Rodriguez did was, I don't even know what he was thinking in this. The casting alone was the thing that killed the movie. And then they did the newer version where they had
Shane Black
in, and another one where you're like, what are you doing with this? And so I think with Prey, we went into it with no expectations, and there's some cultural problems in the film because obviously that time frame and situation and all, there's some things that don't go historically accurate in it, but yet it is still an interesting film. And then to flip out and now saying he's on alien homeworlds, and I'm thinking when they said the Badlands, I was like, okay, well maybe this time something happens and there's like, maybe he's on the Native American side this time or something. I thought maybe they were going to go into that, but obviously they have taken this to a whole nother scenario. And I'm just like, oh my God, like this, like with Alien Romulus, like the expectation of people were so down that they're like, well, we've seen, I don't know how good can this be? And then they hit us with a surprise. And I think Prey did the same exact thing. But once they do that, they somehow fall back into the comfortability of, because I've heard even with Alien, Ridley Scott's like, oh yeah, I want to extend and do the Prometheus. Like, well, you might as well trash this up, brother, because nobody wants to see the third movie of the Prometheus point. So, it's very simple. It's a very simple character to do. And I don't get this, and even Cricket Smiles has me laughing on this one. He says, like, the Predator has always been a hero. So I think that's always interesting as well. But we're gonna have to see, man. I don't think it's that hard, man.
He's in town with a few days to kill. That's it. He's on his little vacation. He's probably back at home working all the time. The boss is always on him, so he's like, I just go to Earth, shoot a couple people, be done with it, go home,
hang out.
Mm-hmm.
In 3 weeks, a new video game is about to hit the digital and physical space, and that is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I don't know about the title, but set in 1937, a new indie story-driven video game. It's getting decent reviews already, and some of the gameplay centered around some really great story action sequences, puzzle solving as you play Harrison Ford, and the voice actor is really great in comparison to Harrison Ford himself. So, and free on Game Pass. So Meek's in the chat. So if you have Xbox Game Pass, you'll be able to play that for free. What are your thoughts on this? Indy and Dr. Brantley, the Indiana Jones enthusiast. I know, Chet, you said you had pre-ordered it. You're looking forward to this? Because I feel like there's been a bit of a lack of like those types of like Tomb Raider or Uncharted types of series, and maybe this could be a good installment for that genre.
I hope so. Now, I don't have Xbox, so I'm going to have to wait the 6 months or whatever their stupid little thing is before it can come to the PlayStation. But
that doesn't seem fair. Maybe I'll just loan you one of my Xboxes, and then that way you can play it. Because I feel like it's not fair that you have to wait to play.
Yeah, it's
out of everybody, you should be playing this. So I think we're gonna have an off camera conversation. I can't allow 6 months. And I agree with Meeks. You do have to stream it.
If you get the Xbox, you're gonna have to get on, man. Had to get on. We'll have to do Indiana streaming night.
And Meeks can correct me if I'm wrong. For those of you that don't know, Meeks does host Joystick Junkies, which has some exciting stuff coming out soon. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank the 500,000 people watching right now. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow, hit the electric bells, do the electric slide, slap someone you know in the face and tell them you love them. But make sure you subscribe first, because if you don't, it's your shut up. Anyways, so yeah, I'm looking forward to this game. I have my reservations, and I'm going to tell you why. Because we have consistently, from companies that are supposedly making AAA titles, have been the beta testers, and I'm really hoping that's not the case with Indiana Jones. I think the story has a lot of potential from what I've seen from gameplay. I'm excited about it. I've said this many times before. One of my favorite franchises is Uncharted, and that was because that was ignited by Tomb Raider, which was ignited by me watching Indiana Jones when I was little. So to see it finally come into a game form, if they do it right and the gameplay is good and it makes sense in that universe, this has potential to be a long-lasting franchise of games. And so I'm really excited about it. There was talk and some speculation that it is very much puzzle heavy and very much like you're rating and trying to find things. So I'm kind of excited about that. I hope they don't go the good old default. You get too far into the tunnel and everyone's zombie route, but I kind of feel like maybe that's going to happen, because I didn't think they'd do that with Uncharted, but they did. That was sad. But I'm excited. I'm excited about the game.
I don't know if you played Emperor's Tomb, but that one was a great version because it felt like you were in the middle of a movie where they had good music. It had like the little cut scenes, action bits, and thinking bits. But I hope because they've had a lot more time now and better computing power and art. So hopefully we can get something awesome.
Yeah. Crooked Smile says you're correct. Too many companies release incomplete games now. And that is true. Look, I thought, months ago, we were able to see some of the gameplay and some of the cinematics for the Indy game. And I thought, like, wow, this looks like a better version than the crap that Disney brought to the screen. So I was looking forward to this. I'm like, hopefully this is the Indy 5 that we all deserved. And I think you have an opportunity. He hasn't, they rarely do a good job with some of these films. If they can do that, like most of the Star Wars games, like Meeks is saying with Jedi Survivor was a mess at the launch, but like, the cinematographics and everything else in these look phenomenal, sometimes better than some of the movies. They have an opportunity with Indiana Jones because, Harrison Ford really doesn't want to see anyone else do it. So from this point, how are we going to get our indie fix in? Well, you give us a complete point of video games, and I think that builds the Indiana Jones lore up from the people that were disappointed this last film. Maybe they want more films, more games. Maybe this leads into more films. Because I think that he is such a niche character that when you see him and you love him, but maybe this will drive people's enthusiasm to see him more and build it, especially with some of the younger audience that haven't seen Temple of Doom or haven't watched Indiana Jones or any of the young Indiana Jones Chronicles. You have an opportunity to get to a younger audience with better gameplay, at least something when their fathers are telling them, hey, Indiana Jones is great. This may help that. So hopefully this leads to the franchise growing and we'll get other things out of that. So I think it's never a bad thing because this looks phenomenally well. We were like blown out when we saw that. And I was like, wow, I'm looking forward to playing it. I'm not like Dr. Brentley, an Indiana Jones enthusiast, but I enjoy it and I'm looking forward to playing it.
Why did they wreck the Uncharted movie?
Because they had some extra money to blow.
It could have been so good if they got the casting right. And actually, Tom Holland was that was actually, I don't know, Wahlberg was way off in terms of casting, but man, that could have been
epic.
They could have made it could have been a trilogy of really great films, and we could spend a whole segment on video games turned to shit movies.
Well, it was Sony.
Now, if I'm recall at the same time,
it's always Sony.
Nathan Fellon actually make an actual short at the same time that was
yes, he did.
And everybody was talking about how great that was.
Yes,
and
it was.
Again, here's the thing: you went and got Tom Holland, who everyone knows is 4'6", and then you've got Mark Wahlberg, who everybody knows is 5'1", and then you had Nathan Fellon, who is actually the character that is modeled off of. Who did it? I think it was something in his backyard or some crap or something. And it looked way better than the actual movie that they spent. God knows it looked like they ran 100 million or more off of that. Sometimes again, the easiest answer presents itself in front of you. People love Nathan. They love the Rookie. He's doing great on that. They loved him when he was in Suicide Squad.
Firefly.
Common sense casting. I don't know why it doesn't happen.
Yeah, man, it's such a bummer. Well, I hope this Indiana Jones video game is good. We need a bit of a change up, something different than the shooters and the MMOs. But the video game industry has been hurting for some time. The new Call of Duty just came out. Obviously, that makes a lot of money just because of the franchise itself. But there hasn't been anything that has moved around the industry, and so maybe this sparks some renewed interest in that genre. Speaking of new stuff, box office related, The Rock and Chris Evans' new film, Red One, is out in theaters. And the first thing that I read was the story of Dwayne Johnson watching Oppenheimer from where Nolan. Did you read any of that where he sat in the seat where Nolan watches his films, and he was like, wow, if this is any indication of Red One that's shown in this IMAX set, it's going to do big business. Well, it is not doing big business. In fact, it's, I think, at 30% Rotten Tomatoes. And what I was surprised to read is that Oppenheimer, obviously Oscar nominated one film, Best Director, Best Actor, had a budget of $100 million. This movie is $200 million plus budget, and it's going to be very hard to make its money back. Gentlemen, Red One, we knew coming in it could be a disaster, and it is shaping up to be another bomb in Hollywood. What the hell's going on with all the bombs?
Nobody cares about The Rock.
Yeah.
What's the next topic?
Also, I give our buddy Crooked Small Collectibles. When you don't even have to comment with a word.
It's just a trash can.
Yeah. But it makes sense, and we all know that's what writing down to the sir, you are a master writer on that one, because I saw that and I said it all right here. We just need the logo of the trash can.
He better watch out,
But
man. Dwayne Johnson is falling off, man. You can't make too many more bombs.
Just like Schwarzenegger did. He was the biggest guy in the world, and then you make a couple of erasers, and suddenly you can't do anything anymore.
Yeah, I don't.
Egos.
You know what? It's also, what was that? Okay, so the. And then you pre-ordered that Todd McFarlane playset.
Hey, someone put crooked smile on Suicide Watch because they watched Red 1 and Joker 2, man. I'm concerned for your mental well-being, sir.
Yeah, I think that this movie just doesn't need to exist. And not to mention, one of the last really good Christmas movies that came out was Violent Night. That's such a great Christmas movie. And I don't know if you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, you got to watch it. And so it's like this Red 1, I watched the trailer for Red 1 and I was like, I have zero desire to see this. Like, it's not good. It's not funny. Then you hear about all the controversy that happened behind the scenes on the movie. And it's like, no. And no one cares about him in WWE either. Don't get that. No one cares. No one cares that guy shows up in WWE. Everyone's upset.
Jeez, man. It's not looking good for The Rock.
Same thing with, it's just ego.
Yeah, rock bottom.
He's gotten to, there's a point where, like I said again, you notice that whenever somebody's hungry and everything, the film's great, the situations work itself out, but let them get a little money in their pocket, they'll be on.
And they start making Jumanji.
And they start getting these things in the
Jungle Cruise.
Way bigger than it needs to be. And, you would have thought Shazam was enough of a slap in his face to realize this, but obviously that humiliation didn't take it. I saw from the trailer that this was a hunk of crap, and I was like, and again, Dr. Brentley and I will say the same damn thing. On paper when something's bad, and I don't understand other than The Rock said, "I'll do it." That's the only way the studio greenlit this, because this was just asinine. And I keep seeing these kind of films come out where they're spending a crap load of money, and you're like, what are you doing? It's like, this is just not it. And from what I understand, they said the chemistry was so bad between The Rock and Chris Evans that it's apparent on the screen. And, look, I've seen a scene that they did, and it really did look like Chris Evans just didn't care, He couldn't even muster up the acting paralysis to put on his face that he cared.
He was still wishing he was in the Fantastic Four suit when he was filming that movie.
Yeah.
It's like, put me back in that.
I can tell you that the Rock is, look, after the whole Fast and Furious thing and all the other issues that keeps coming on, these guys, they get to the point, ego takes you out of it. You shoot up to the top, you make it to the top level, and then your ego knocks you off. And then people in Hollywood don't want anything to do with you. And I also
find it funny that the polar bear's name is Garcia, and that's the last name of one of the writers.
Yeah, well, again, it's not a stretch.
Look,
there.
I will say this. Go ahead, Dr. Brinley.
They keep trying to make this revisionist Santa movie for the last 10 years. Where it's like, okay, well, this one he's jacked Santa. Oh, and this one he's old killer Santa. And this, it's like, okay, did you run out of what you can do with Santa? Because none of these are really working.
Yeah. You know what? If they wanted to make a good Santa Claus movie, they could get the comic book St. Claus, because that's a really good run. It's a very short run. It's fantastic. It's well written. But that's why I liked Violent Night, because they were like, let's just make a really violent Santa Claus movie. And I was like, all right, I'm in it. And it was great. So
that's awesome. I will say one of the things, I've got a little daughter, and 2 weeks ago, we went to the movie theaters and we saw Wild Robot, DreamWorks animation.
Oh, yeah.
And 98% Rotten Tomatoes. Really great writing, animation, family friendly for the young kids. Story is amazing. Budget was 80 million. It's already made over 300 million. You don't need megastars. It's great stories. I don't know how you break through to people. It is great stories. And if you can get some good actors to play it, great, but start with the stories. And that's where Hollywood continues to fail. So Red One is a bad one, and looks like there's a coal in the stocking of Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Well, the way Hollywood works, though, is agents. I have this guy, and this guy. We want to make some money, so you have to hire them for your big movies. And if you want to do anything, you can't do a movie without a named star anymore that's over a certain amount of money. It's stupid. They shouldn't do it. But for some reason, they're stuck in this thing since, pretty much the 60s.
Yeah. Well, they're not going to take a big risk on The Rock anymore because that's 3 duds in a row. So it may be the Arnold cliff. We'll see. He might be falling off the
Jumanji
cliff.
3. That's next.
That's another one that's going off the cliff.
It'll probably make
Because I'll
money.
be honest with you, Jack Black is not very popular. Kevin Hart's star is fading. It's not going to look good for that. The time is up on some of those folks. But ladies and gentlemen, we're only a couple minutes left, and that means it is time for SKN News, Mr. Storm.
Yeah, let's get to that now. Also, letting you know that I've been monitoring Jake Paul and Mike Tyson is not in the ring, so you're not missing anything. Don't worry about it. But if you're looking at that you want to do some cosplaying over the holidays, well, guess what? They're dropping down that on over the Hasbro Pulse and also a couple other retailers. If you want to get the Pumpkin Bomb, not the Starbucks Latte Pumpkin Bomb, but you want to get the one that the Green Goblin has, then you can head over and pick that up for $40. Or cosplay his mask, which looks pretty good actually, for $125. So that's up right now. You can check your, where you buy your fine toys at. We're gonna flip through. For some strange reason, Jim Lee felt like he needed a statue of the Green Lantern of his own character. I do not understand why they made this. This is why Marvel is better than DC, because there's no Marvel statues. But for some strange reason, Jim Lee's drawing, which he was there to unveil, it's in Burbank. So if you want to go see, John Stewart in all of Ron's glory, you can do that in Burbank, California.
Why this statue out of all figures?
Now, remember one aspect alone is that in every scenario, every point, and everything, that Jim Lee does run DC. So got to ask yourself and everything. And Cricket Smiles rolls in. He said they almost broke it unveiling it. So yeah, so just like a DC movie, it wasn't made out of something solid. All right, now guess what? It's sometimes when they say Black Friday, well, Black Friday is not normally associated with the people that collect toys and collectibles. But if you've been looking at some of these fine items, especially Marvel Legends, if you can make any kind of discount on it, you want to do it. They haven't put up prices, but I know that there's a couple of popular items up here. The 60th anniversary of Spider-Man from the Amazing Fantasy is up. Obviously, with the whole Secret Wars coming in place, that Black Spider-Man symbiote's going to go well. And then, of course, Chet Knives, I think it's going to be on Toybox Chronicles, one of our top 10 characters of the year. Danny Ketch's Ghost Rider is up on that. You've got Logan with the Harley Davidson with the saddlebags on it.
I will say that bike there, people sell the Henry Cavill head sculpt. So you get that, and you have your Cavalry from the Deadpool Wolverine movie with the bike. So jump on that.
Some of the hardest 2-packs I noticed that haven't showed up at Ollie's is the Wolverine and Sabretooth one. Again, if you're getting, hopefully there's going to be good discounts on this. We've got to see it. Colossus and Juggernaut, just for Juggernaut alone, that's a great piece. Multiple hands. That's going to be worth it. They've got, if you love cosplaying, there's an Iron Man one that's going to be on a Black Friday starting November 21st. Also, this, due to our buddies over at the Sword Like Digest podcast, this is from the Mandalorian. This is the artillery stormtrooper. Thank you, Darth Moocher, for that insight. But that helmet, and this looks like a pretty good helmet. I've heard some of the quality is okay on the black helmets, and some of them aren't. So we'll have to see. Rolling over a couple more. Look, if you're looking for some of the Legend series of the Marvel Legends, and you've got the Infinity Saga, there's no better than Josh Brolin and Robert Downey Jr. And now here's one where I'll say the 3-pack of the X-Men in the Jim Lee colors. This is probably a pass. I know that this Psylocke and the Banshee, and I think that's Forge, if I'm not mistaken. Those have been popping up at all. Is that Gambit?
That's Gambit.
Yeah, I've been seeing those. I know have been popping. I've seen all kind of YouTubers saying that. So we'll have to see, because sometimes they're 3-packs that they're putting up. I noticed they put the West Coast Avengers one on. That was popping up with Ross and Ollie's, and people were still paying full price. So you might be able to find something a little bit better for that. Yeah. They've got some Star Wars vintage series. Mandu, Grogu, and the Naboo Starfighter. Slave One went from the Book of Fett is there. Those are probably, again, if you're getting them at a discount, they're worth it. And then here, the 60th anniversary Seal Diver from G.I. Joe. If you can get that on discount, get it. And then one of the Dreadnoughts is definitely, if you're gonna, again, spend the money. Some of this stuff might be like, hopefully like, $5, $6, maybe $10. That's probably a smarter move, because I know that the only reason they're doing this is some of these characters are on stock and everything. And before we move to the next segment, and this one is going to hit Rad real well.
Houston, we have a problem.
Somebody, Uncle Todd's been drinking or doing something.
What a joke.
And
Uncle Todd's been in Grandma's medicine cabinet drinking the rope.
He's been doing something, but he hasn't been doing anything sober, because this one he just. And here's the thing: you think this would have went up like maybe like a month ago or something? No. It just popped up this week for pre-order, and for $250. You can have your characters play in a studio that nobody on the face of the planet, not even Todd Phillips anymore, gives a damn about. But you can spend $250 for this Joker set. And again, I don't know if Todd got to watch the movie before he actually bid on the license. But this is going to lose money, I can tell you that.
Yeah, Kitty, you're absolutely right. It is literally a $75 set.
Yeah, I don't even think $75.
No, you know what? No way. Look, I was questioning this, because I was like, $250 is a lot of money. But when I saw that plant, I'm like, it's fucking worth it. $250, you get the plant. It's just.
Where else are you going to get a scale plastic fight?
Also, can we talk about how this should have come out like when Joker came out and not Joker 2? Like you're a little late. You're trying to sell something based off a movie that's not even going to make enough money to pay for gas. Like
and absolutely, Quick Smiles says, I can make that. Damn, I can make that too, brother. And like you said, you can print that for $40. Nah, bro, you can print that for $20. Like I said, get some cheaper filament. But we always love to go down to the situation and just let everyone know that there's something wrong over at Todd, and hopefully,
Houston, we have a problem.
I don't think they can even help that. Flowing through, we had on Wednesday's Toybox Chronicles, if you watched myself and chat, we had actually Kelly from Odd Frog Entertainment. And the reason why we're going to do this, we're going to champion this vehicle because we think it's one of the better vehicles on the market, and the price is right for this. Head over to oddfrogentertainment.com. You can actually put your pre-order for this. This will hit the release date of the summer of 2025. This is the Bandino. This is for customizers out there, or even toy photographers. This thing is phenomenal. You had people that put this in the thoughts of what it was going to go back to have something other than a $250 set that you're not going to buy. He put in the mind that he wants customizers and photographers, people that enjoy this product, to get this in hand. So we're going to champion this. It's a beautiful car. I know Chet myself, damn straight, is like, yeah, this was already pre-ordered for us. And at $185, and that is with the continental free shipping. And we use the word continental because the people in probably Puerto Rico or Hawaii or Alaska is not going to get the same shipping price. But if you live in the 48 lower states, you'll probably end up getting this. So, but $185 is just amazing for a full vehicle that you have. and that's being shipped to you. That's very rare because you've seen the price points, and that stuff actually will, it's jumping to the next level. And,
and
to wrap it up,
250 is not going to pay for shipping either on
Yeah.
the Joker thing. You still got to come out shipping on that thing.
Yeah. And that's shipping for 250s with taxes and everything else. You're probably looking at like somewhere, 275, 285, somewhere out there. It's almost $300 for a playset that no one, and I'm telling you, Joaquin Phoenix, this is not even going in his house.
No.
That's not going to show up there. And just to let everyone know, and
Johnny
everything while we're
Carson version.
monitoring, Mike Tyson and Jake Paul are not in the ring together, so you're not missing anything, And to conclude the situation, I know I'm going to be there. I know my partner, Mr. Maddox, is going to be there. But are we going to see you at the SoCal Joe Show on December 8th? That is in Temecula, California. If you don't know, they call it the Wine County of the South. We're going to be there. Crooked Smiles Collectibles, our buddy and channel member, will have a booth there as well. It's one of those absolute ones where it's a great show if you're looking for vintage, if you're looking for classified figures. They even have an actual SoCal Joe exclusive figure that they make at a very limited portion, so you're going to want to get there early, because if you get there late, it sells out immediately. I don't know the count, but Evan and his business partners put on a great show. It's at the Embassy Suites in Temecula, California. It will be December 8th, and I'm going to be there. Mr. Maddox is going to be there. I don't know Brad and Dr. Brentley, but you guys are always willing to Joe it up with the both of us. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, and yes, there's still the female fighting in the ring. That ends the SKN news for the week.
Amazing.
And Kaiju Kitty has one more. But the playability of Joker and Murray arguing, and like Joker dancing, is so exciting. Oh, wait, when I'm getting my Few Good Men play set for $475.
Well, it makes sense. The cost. You only have to print the court set, and then you can just put out new figures. This is To Kill a Mockingbird set.
Just level it up a little higher. That's it.
SVU playset.
Yeah. That is one of the comments of the night, ladies and gentlemen.
That is the comment of the night. You can't handle the cost. Okay, we are wrapping up things as always. We've got amazing content on the channel, so take a look back. We've got Toybox Chronicles every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Pacific time for toy fans. A variety of other things on the channel. Scroll, like, subscribe, all the things. We got to give a warm shout out to our first and every sponsor, and that is obviously Toys versus Games.
Toys versus Games.
I'm here with the man, the owner.
Tony at Toys vs. Games. Versus
Games. Oh. And, we appreciate you all hanging out with us every Friday. Just so you all know, Wednesdays and Fridays are big moments on Shadow Nose Network, and we have a lot of other brother networks as well. So make sure you block your Wednesdays and Fridays specifically, as we have a great list of shows to watch. Gentlemen, any last thoughts before we adjourn? I know we're probably going to be glued to the screen in just a few moments to see an old-ass Mike Tyson fight Mr. Paul. We'll see what comes of it. I'm hoping for an ear bite or some controversy. You never know. It is a Hollywood script. Maybe Dwayne Johnson does a run-in like a WrestleMania for promotion of Red One. I have no idea. But any last thoughts before we adjourn, gentlemen?
Absolutely. Make sure you turn into Toybox Chronicles this Wednesday. We're going to actually, do you know what a mini con is? Well, we're going to have the promoters of Nerds and Hip Hop that's doing one in Ontario on the 24th of November. Come by and explain that. So we got another interview, 2 weeks in a row, 2 interviews. So that's looking to be a good one.
Amazing.
Nice.
Dr. Brantley, Mr. Maddox.
Nope, not gonna watch this fight.
All right.
No, but we are planning, like I said, for your it's been requested for video game news and updates, so we are working on a plan for the Joystick Junkies. We're excited about it, and there will be live streaming on the channel coming up very soon as well. So stay tuned for that. You might have something to do on your Saturdays.
Amazing. Hey, as always, thanks for hanging out with us in the chat and the live. Again, we appreciate it. 2,000 subscribers, on our way to 3,000 subscribers. Until next week, have a good weekend, and we'll see you soon.